Alright guys, what's going on? Shellz here today and saying I'm doing a Premier League predictions video after 10 games because I feel like 10 games is a really good point in the season to make predictions and how I feel the game's going to go. I think 10 games is it's the ideal number of games that you can see form, how teams are set up and how teams are playing, and I think you can get a feel for what I think they'll do in the future. And this is just my predictions. Of course, I'd love to hear you guys think of predictions for what teams you think are going to do better, what teams are going to do worse. These are just my predictions at the end of the day. So it's what I think is going to happen. I could, of course, be completely wrong. Any one of these teams could completely prove me wrong, but I'm hoping I'm correct. Obviously, that's what I'm trying to aim for this. But anyway, let's crack on. We're going to the relegation teams here. First off, the teams I've picked, Cardiff, Huddersfield, and Fulham. The three teams I haven't seen much from at all. Huddersfield didn't buy well this summer at all. Cardiff just didn't seem to really buy well either. Fulham are a team that I don't really get. I think they bought Sarri, who's a good player. They loaned in Sergio Rico from Sevilla. They got Fosu and Chambers from both Man United and Arsenal. I thought that would be a good selection. Of course, they got superstar Sessegnon, who I feel like would he be good? I think he potentially might leave in January the way they're going. That's my personal opinion. I think he might end up with, someone like Spurs or something like that. But there's definitely weaknesses in those three teams that I look at, and I think they're the three teams that I don't really see much in right now, and unfortunately, probably why I think they'll go down. They haven't really shown me anything in 10 games that's maybe got, okay, they can survive, and that's a big problem. So the next set of teams here, we're going to go through Southampton. I've put in 17th. They're not great, they're not brilliant, but they'll do just enough to survive. I feel like that's kind of what they do well at. Crystal Palace, again, another team. I thought Max Meyer would be a much better player for them. There's some good players like Van Bissaka. Their right back looks quite good. I think he's quite a bit of a baller. But again, I don't really see the moves that you expect them to make after the off season. Burnley, on the other hand, I think Burnley have been really bad this season. I thought I was expecting that more from Burnley. I thought they'd be back in the top 10, but they've not looked the same team. I'm not really sure what their issue is. I think Sean Dyche got to figure out, are they just a one season wonder last season or not? I guess we'll try to find out. Brighton, again, a team, I think Brighton are a good coach team, but they lack assets, really. Let's be real here. Their team it's god awful. It's one of the worst talent based teams in the league, and what Chris Holton does with that team, you have to give him credit for doing with it. It's quite difficult to do what he does with it, but he does a great job with it, so I gotta give him a lot of credit for that. But they'll finish probably that 14th, that 15th, 14th, 13th, their best area. West Ham, it hasn't quite worked for West Ham this season. They bought well in the summer, I think, but I think it's going to take them another year probably before we see the true potential. Armolenko, of course, towards Achilles is bad. Felipe Anderson, Arnautovic are good players, but they've had another time. I think Lanzini's a big miss for them. He's out for quite a while, so unfortunately, I'd say a big miss for them. Number 12, Watford. Now, this is a bit of a controversial one. People are saying Watford this far down. If you look where they are on the table, yeah, I've looked where they are on the table, and they'll be on the beach by December. Let's be real here. That's Watford's MO. They start the season well, they get out of the relegation, thing, and then they're like, right, cool, I'm off the beach before the half part of the season, and they just start to fall down this table. I think that's what's going to happen with Watford again this season. I think 12th is probably where they'll end up. They could, of course, end up, I don't think they'll end up in the top 10, but I think they'll end up somewhere in that 10 to 12 region, and that's where I think they'll see them. Number 11, Bournemouth. Eddie Howe's got this team playing well. I have to say, they look, quite good. Callum King is there, I think, up front for them, looks, quite good. Nathan Ake is, of course, pretty good defender. They've played pretty damn well this season. I have to give them a lot of credit out there ahead of United. But again, I just don't buy them staying up that high. I think they have a great start of the season, but I think they will start to regress back to their norm. They're playing above average at the moment, and that, they don't have the players to continue that. They're not a top level side just yet. So I think they'll, in turn, fall back down the list as it goes through. Anyway, number 10, Newcastle United. They've had a god-awful start of the season, but I feel like Newcastle, from what I've looked statistically, are a team that seems to start towards they get better as the season goes on. And I think they'll be pretty much fine. I think they will finish in that 10th position spot. They haven't bought anything, but I think January we might see them get something a bit better. But yeah, I'm thinking they'll play well. From what I've seen Newcastle play this season, I watched them play against Chelsea, and I was very impressed with the way they played. But I think they have a chance now. They have probably the hardest schedule to open the season I've ever seen. They played all the top 6 sides. They'll be good, I think, when it comes down to. I think when you come down to the 20 game mark, we'll see them, pretty clear of the relegation zone. If they're not, I'd be pretty shocked. But we'll have to see what happens there. I think they're definitely a team that we'll see push up the table and I think they'll make a run in the next 5 to 10 games. So the next 3 teams we're going to go through before we get into the European qualification. Leicester in 9th. I feel like Leicester will go on a bit of a run now. They haven't been brilliant start of the season, but I think, of course, unfortunately, their owner passing away in tragic circumstances, I think they will start to play a lot better now. I think they'll really, be playing for him, and they'll start putting some performance in. That James Maddison kid, like that kid's got some serious set of talent. They got Maguire, Vardy, of course, and Didi, Iheanacho. They have the talent to be a top 10 side, but I don't think they've played just that yet. They might struggle the next 1-2 weeks, but I think that we get into like next month, they'll really start to put things together. I think they'll make a definite top 10 run the next season. 8th position, I've put Everton. Controversial, put them over behind Wolves. Now, Everton lack probably the keyest position. There's positions you can't survive without. You need a good striker and you need a good goalkeeper. They got a good goalkeeper. They have nothing up front. They need to find a striker like ASAP pronto. I don't even know who they even started at striker last week, but Dominic Calvert-Lewin, don't get me wrong about Calvert-Lewin, I think he has potential to be a good striker. He's just, you can't just jump him from where he is now up to a Premier League level. Like, he needs to just, have time to develop, and I don't think they have that just yet. But I feel like, Everton moving forward, definitely a team to watch. They definitely have built a good season. Charleston that left is going to look quite good in a few years' time. I thought Digne is quite good. Bernard looks quite good as well. So they bought well. They bought players good. They keep progressing as a team. I think they're going to be a team in the next, along with Wolves, they're a team to watch the next 5 years because they'll start competing for that top 6 Europa League spots. And I think they'll definitely start doing some damage there. It's been interesting to see with them. But as I mentioned there, Wolves in 7th. I have to say I'm really impressed with that Wolves side. They play as a unit. They're very smart. They do things very well. I think looking at them with, of course, the money and the connections in Jorge Mendes, you gotta really think they're only just, the tip of the iceberg has been shown. Ruben Neves, to me, in that midfield, he is the next big, midfielder, I think, around the world. He is going to be class act for Wolves for years to come. That guy, Adama Traore, the Spaniard, who's, I think is just, again, another player just tip of the iceberg. I think they have so much good talent there. If they can get like a better striker than Jimenez up there, like, oh boy, like, imagine if, like, this is a hypothetical situation, but imagine if Jorge Mendes could manage to wrestle Morata away from Chelsea or something like that. Like, if they got someone who could, bang in goals, like maybe a Belotti from Torino potentially as a player. I don't think who else they could potentially get. Maybe Batshuayi if Chelsea wanted to get rid of him. I don't think any other big name strikers that potentially could get, but someone who could just bang in goals week in, week out. Like, watch out for Wolves. They're going to be a team that's going to compete for, they're the next team to make that step up like Tottenham have in the past few years. So definitely a team to watch out for in the future. So 6th place, I've put Man United in. This is a tricky one for me to describe. I am very much Mourinho out, and I have been since Sevilla last year. He's just not the guy for United at all. And I feel like United needs to pull the plaster off. You have to rip it off quickly. If you leave it for too long, it just does. You do too much damage. So it's a tricky situation for me to say, but I feel like United have to get rid of him. If we had someone like a Zidane, a Jardim, even, I think United would be a lot better. I think I'd take any other coach in the Premier League right now than Mourinho. That's saying a lot. Actually, not any coach. I wouldn't take the Fulham coach or the Cardiff coach. Definitely wouldn't take them guys, to be honest. But the team is just not doing what it should do. The team has so much talent. When you guys like Anthony Martial, Paul Pogba, Rashford, Lukaku, even if he's playing out of position of striker, is still a world-class player if you put him out the right. Alexis Sanchez just looks utterly terrible. Matic is, God, I don't even mention it. But 50 million on Fred, does nothing with him. Andrew Herrera doesn't even get a game. He's probably, by on the bench, he's easily the best centre back we have, doesn't get a game. I just don't understand it. And to be honest, I think 6th place is United's ceiling. I cannot see United getting 5th. I cannot see United getting 4th. Like, if it stays at Mourinho, which I think it's probably going to stay until probably January at the rate it is, unless, Ed Woodward sees us get smashed into Turin, it's like, right, time for a change. And it's going to be a painful season. We're near 3 here. I haven't seen anything. I've seen more from Unai Emery and Sarri in 3 months than I've seen from Mourinho in 3 years. And that just isn't how football teams are meant to be done. So 5th place here is Arsenal on the list. A team, I have to say they look a lot better this year. They look night and day difference. I think at the end of the Wenger era, they just ran out of ideas. I think Wenger needed a new change of scenery, a new change of design. I think Unai Emery has brought new modern methods to the game. I think that's exactly what's needed. I think Wenger took maybe 2 years too long. I think when Sir Alex hung it up, I think Wenger should have done the same. But I think Wenger still could, if he got to a new club, potentially do it. But I think Arsenal now look like a team that knows it has like an objective to do. Now, Lucas Torreira, I think that was a fantastic buy for them. Aubameyang in January, is he the best Premier League striker right now? I think I'd put him right up there with Aguero. I think unbelievably, assassins really. Two of them guys are, Lacazette as well, Ozil, Mkhitaryan, Iwobi. They have players now, and like Socrates look good at the back. They look a lot better than they were last season. They're a team that I think will finish 5th, but they'll push Tottenham all the way to the end. I think Arsenal's goal will actually end up being the Europa League in the end. I think Unai Emery is going to win the Europa League for them, and that's how they're going to get into the Champions League. So I think that's their best bet. I think the biggest issue I see with them over a team like Tottenham is they're probably going to make 1 or 2 errors from playing on a Thursday and a Sunday rather than a Tottenham say playing on a Saturday, a Tuesday, and a Saturday to get an extra day of rest. I think that's potentially where they might go wrong, but we'll have to see. I think Arsenal are definitely a team. They're going to push Tottenham and Chelsea for that those Champions League automation spots, and we'll see what happens. But it's going to be a close end of the season. So the first team into the Champions League spots, I've put Tottenham, a team I think they don't really have very many holes. If you look at that team and you're like, okay, where are Tottenham's holes? Where would you look and say they can improve there? Midfield is probably their weakest spot potentially, but you can move Eriksen back there. They're a pretty well built team. Pochettino's got them built pretty good. I think Pochettino is a huge investment. I'd take him at United right now if I had the chance. I think in the end they're going to be just enough to get that automation for the Champions League spot. I think Harry Kane, Dele Alli, Christian Eriksen, they're so good. Son on the left as well. They're just a really, really good team. Got Vertonghen, Alderweireld at the back. They got Whippier, Kieran Trippier, whatever his name is. Aurier as well can go in there. Ben Davis on the left with Danny Rose. They're a well-built team. Lloris needs to play a bit better. I think if they need to get anywhere there. I think they'll get knocked out of the Champions League, but how hard they go that, of course, nothing's in stone yet. Inter Milan could, of course, mess it up, but it'll be interesting what happens with that. But I think Tottenham are going to have just enough to get those Champions League spots over an Arsenal or a Man United, just from the way the team is and the way the team plays. I feel like that's the biggest difference with Pochettino. He has a set system. Ali and Eriksen have been a bit banged up recently. I think once they get going again, they'll be in flying form. They'll get that 4th position. So in 3rd position here, I've decided to put Chelsea, a team I think has some, what do I describe Chelsea as this season? They're a lot quicker. They're a lot faster. If they can get Morata scoring, oh boy, watch out for them because they've fixed their midfield. Their midfield looks infinitely better than last year. Ross Barkley looks like a player who's playing out of his mind right now. So I got to give him a lot of credit for what he's been able to achieve this season. Overall, as a team, they look infinitely better than what they were. Conte won the Premier League. I think Sarri will win them next year, the year after. I think he's almost guaranteed with what he's done. I think Sarri's done an amazing job with the team. Sarri ball, of course, just looks quite good. Eden Hazard, I think if they can keep Hazard at Chelsea for another 2-3 seasons, and I think Real Madrid will come pretty hard from either in January or next summer, they're going to be a difficult team to beat. I think this season, Europa League, I feel like Europa League might affect them a little bit. Of course, it depends how they play it, but if they were in the Europa League, I think I'd put them if they were out of Europe, I'd put them right up at the top as the team that I think will go all the way because they have the extra week of rest, don't have to play European football during the week. But right now, I think they'll just, they'll be within somewhere between 6 to 10 points, was my prediction. Chelsea will be away from the winners of the title. It is going to be very, very close, but, it's just, it's going to be tricky to see. I think they'll fall just a bit too, they'll be just a bit too far away. I think that point, they should have beaten United and then they should have beaten Liverpool. I think those points there are going to prove to be crucial at the end of the season. If they do get close to the title race, that probably potentially be why, if they lose the title to Liverpool by 2 points, that's where they lost the title at home in Stamford Bridge. That Daniel Sturridge goal, amazing goal, but that could be what cost them a chance to win the league. So number 2 on the list, Manchester City. yeah, I just don't think they have enough this season. They're just a little bit off the pace. De Bruyne has been banged up. He got injured last night again, so that's a bit of a problem for City. But looking at that team, they have the firepower to get there. I think they're just going to fall short at the end of the season. I think that's what ultimately what's going to be their problem. They're going to be right up there in contention. It'll be a race to the end of the season. I think, it'll be somewhere between 0 and 5 points will decide them winning or losing the league. I think City can win the league. Don't get me wrong. I think it's very close between City and Liverpool. But I feel like City are just that little bit away from winning the league this season. I think they're going to struggle to repeat last season. Last season was an amazing season by them. A full 100% credit to them what they did. They did a fantastic job, and it's a season that will go down in remembrance for years to come. But unfortunately, repeating a second year is the tricky situation. I think they'll just fall short that last crucial part of the season, and ultimately that's going to cost them. But they have some good players. They have some fantastic players, to be real. I mean, their wingers are probably their 2D wing sets are unbelievable. I mean, who as a team has wingers is the depth they have? I think it's unbelievable. Mahrez, Bernardo Silva, Sané, Sterling, Guerrero, Jesus up front. Like, that's just unheard of. I mean, they got a good defense as well. Company, Stones, Merrick, Laporte. Depth for days. Mendy, Walker, left and right back. They're pretty stacked side. They're going to be good. They're going to go right up there. But I just feel like they're going to just miss out in that top spot to Liverpool in the end. And here's why. And finally, Liverpool, the team I think is going to win the league this season. Why I think they'll win? I think last season I felt that they got better as the year went on. Mo Salah had probably the best season I've ever seen. The players they've brought in, Kaida's just hasn't quite a potential yet, but I think he'll get there. I think Fabinho will eventually sort things out. But buying Van Dijk last season for what they paid for him, extortion rate, but he's been an absolute rock at the back, and when you can do that, fair play. They've solved the right back, left back. They're solid across the park. Unless an injury to Salah, Firmino, or Mane happens, I think they win the league. I think Salah's coming back to form now. I think he mentally was a bit checked out last season, or this start of this season, of course, after the Ramos incident. I think you mentioned he just lost all the confidence, but he's finding it again now, and I think that's ultimately what's going to win them a championship here. I think it sucks to say that as a United fan, but I think Liverpool are finally going to win it this season. I think the only thing that's going to stop them is City turning it on and Chelsea, stealing points off them. I think that's what really needs to happen. But if I had to pick who I wanted to win, I'd take a Chelsea or City win any day of the week. Probably Chelsea first, City second, but I guess we'll have to find out this season. It's going to be a competitive season. It's only just getting started, but it'll be interesting to see what happens, of course. But I think Liverpool are going to be number 1. I think City will finish 2, Chelsea 3, Tottenham 4, Arsenal 5, Man United 6, Wolves 7, Everton 8, 9 will be Leicester, and then of course 10 will be Newcastle in the top 10. You can see the rest of the team on the screen. But yeah, unfortunately, Liverpool are probably going to win the league in my prediction. But will the best team win? I think it's going to be a 3-horse race between Liverpool, City, and Chelsea. I think there'll be a gap then at Tottenham, Arsenal, and Man U being that next 3 bracket. I think there'll then be a big of a gap between Wolves, Everton, Leicester competing for those 7, 8, 9 positions. But anyway, that is my Premier League predictions this season. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Might do another one of these at Christmas when we hit 20 games, but until then, I'm rocking up here, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.